We're live. We are live now. This is Senate Finance, March 19th. And bad news, I found out we have two more bills that have to go to appropriations that don't have an appropriation, but that means they need to come out today. So they should be, I put them for tomorrow because I thought they'd be really simple in and out bills. We're going to start, and I know I've got two members who were on judicial retention.
Yeah.
They were doing a special meeting. Is it tomorrow? No, it's next week that we have judicial retention, but they were meeting at noon and they thought it might run over. So they will be here when they finish. The first bill I've got on the agenda is miscellaneous agriculture. And remember yesterday we asked for an amendment and Bradley, yeah. Do you have both your amendment and the one that Kirby was doing?
Yeah, they're one amendment.
Okay, we are, again, apparently half our staff has to sit in the House floor. When bills are being taken up, so we're also trying to get staff in and out of here. But this, okay, today is Wednesday. No, today's Thursday. Let's update that. Okay, now, okay, so you also had some things that you were gonna wordsmith that weren't in ours. So walk us through what we have.
So I sent an amendment, draft 1.1 last night. And this amends Act 323 in three ways. First, in the first two instances, it takes out the word enrolled. Because as a copy and paste error, when we were drafting this bill, we were using donation language to edit the eligibility for the required agricultural practices. And then in section 4, there's also that donation language. But initially the donation language was made for current use. And so I mistakenly included that word. And so these two amendments would take out the word enrolled in those sections.
Okay.
And then so I can point out where those are in the bill. In the first instance, it's on section Senate Bill 323, page 5, line 1 would be the first edit we're moving. And then the second section would be page 9. It's on page 9, lines 14 and 15.
Okay. I know there was discussion when we got to that because it.
And that was, yeah, and that was just a drafting error.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate the opportunity to amend.
No problem. Okay, and then third, and this is the one that Kirby did for us, right?
This is correct. And then this would strike out sections 5 and 6 in their entirety, and then renumber the remaining sections to be numerically correct.
And that was the one that was, if you donated $2,000 worth of zucchini, you could get enrolled in current use. And I think we had some concerns about possible abuse in that area. And as far as anyone can tell, we know we have one person that seems to donate all of their food crops. It was a substantial amount. But it just, I think the two members that were most concerned were not here.
I don't see a fiscal note on 323. Is there one that I'm just not finding?
323.
JFO should have the fiscal note ready, if not now, shortly.
That's right. This was a long, complicated bill, and they didn't have it ready.
Is this the one with medium and large farm piece?
Yes, it is.
No. So I think that was the revenue loss.
Yeah.
Right?
let's see what came up.
And then the seed stuff was just moving it into different sections, right?
Yeah.
Areas as well. Cause I think that was gonna be a neutral. Was there any thought more about the discussion of donation of crops? If maybe it might be a future discussion on increasing the amount, you know, if what, 5,000, 2,000 for if you sell it. If it's donated, maybe it could be a higher amount, because then I think it's a larger discussion.
Yeah, I think it is a larger discussion and probably one that needs to start in economic development. It just, no one can seem to give us an overriding reason to do it. And the big deduction would be, it wouldn't probably save me enough to try and do current use, and the fee to get out of current use would be significant. But if you had a nice place with a nice gift house, I think there's a farm going down towards the back road from Royalton to over to Rutland, so route. But they go down.
Was it the Cooper the other day or?
I don't know, it was a working farm, they put up like lodging on it, but it still is like a working farm.
Yeah.
If you donate all your food and you could, I don't know, it didn't feel comfortable yesterday. But we could start with the two technical changes, which is just cleaning up that enrollment issue. We do not have a fiscal note on this. And we can wait until Ted comes in. We also couldn't get it sounds like you would be a larger landowner with significant buildings to benefit from this in current use. And remember, current use comes out of the ed fund. So,
And the general fund.
and the general fund, town gets paid, but it is an expense and an unknown expense.
It's funny. Part of what I was asking about the fiscal notice, I just wanted to know if they had put numbers to the implications of these two sections.
I don't think they can, because it'll depend on who,
Uptake, yeah.
who takes it up. It's right now, are we comfortable, given the state of the ed fund and property taxes, with setting up a potential future reduction? Okay, do you want to wait and see if Ted has a fiscal note?
Do you think Senator Hardy and Senator Gulick would want to be here for this vote?
I don't know. They didn't ask me. We can go on.
I want the motion, just I don't know if there's support for the amendment as presented.
The first and second is just cleanup,
Yeah,
Right.
that's clear.
and then the third is, I also have concerns about not knowing what the implications are of extending that to donations on cash crop. So, I'm okay, and I think with what we heard yesterday, day before, about the large and small farms and just moving those seed fees.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I need first is a motion to amend. I was still on yesterday. I need a motion to amend S 323 with draft 4.1, 313.26. Senator Chittenden has moved that we amend S 323 with amendment draft 4.1 31326. And the amendment does some language cleanup with the word enrolled. And it also removes the sections that would allow people that donate $2,000 worth of crops to be able to put their land in current use. I think mostly this, we just might be a good idea, but we don't have time
Yeah.
to figure out, especially the impact on the ed fund.
Yeah.
So. Motion, any discussion, any amendments? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. I'm getting that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 2. Okay. Who's on? Nobody's on else?
We don't have anybody on ag in this.
No.
So who do I put this? I can do it. Okay.
I just don't understand current use well enough to be able to answer questions on what we just struck, so I appreciate that. I understand current use pretty well. I could probably do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a big enough bill. We're probably.
Yeah.
A lot of questions. To say this is not the time to be setting up the potential to remove money out of the ed. Okay, so we got one down. Let's keep going. 214, Beth St. James is not here yet. Julia and Ezra. Well, they've got 3 minutes.
So this kind of gets voted once in the amendment and not to also that
Oh.
bill.
No, we need to vote to
I mean,
pass the bill as amended.
Right.
That's right. That's the amendment.
I think you do it on the same sheet. That's what you thought I was supposed to do, no?
I don't think it's the same sheet. Normally what I would do is say, that first one would be a straw poll on the amendment, yes. And then the second one would be on the actual, our one point,
As amended.
yeah. Cause I did favorable
All
with
right, all
amendment,
of those in favor of the bill as amended.
yes,
All those opposed, same vote.
perfect.
Or no?
Because that'll say favorable with amendment and it references our amendment that we.
Yes.
Just name it what
Okay.
the neighbor was saying.
The secretary is going to regret telling me I have all power.
No, I appreciate that one. That's great.
All right, he didn't say anything about which bill we voted on with the strike all, remember the transportation? Well, the numbers are all the same. We're still looking for Beth. Today I found out we need to do. Yes, we're gonna put them on the end of today. We are going to have to do the optometrist bill because apparently. Even though it doesn't have an amendment, it potentially could have an appropriation or could in the future need an appropriation. And the same with licensure of international trained physicians and medical graduates. I'm still trying to find out who the internationally recognized surgeon working as a phlebotomist in Chittenden County is. But he's definitely not living up to his projection.
What's up for bodies?
He takes your blood when you go in.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Medical terms anyway.
So anyway, there, other states are working with this, but it's how, other than having to go through a complete residency, how do we find a way to get them licensed? And I guess the Board of Medical Practice might need some money to do that. So we will get both of those out of here today. Okay. I've got Julia and Ezra. I don't have Mint yet. We got 2 new bills or 2 old bills we didn't know had to be out today, so we are moving, right? And you are here for a geographically isolated area. There's Beth, okay. Is that the minute you feel ready? Or just saying we found out 2 more bills have to come out of here today, so.
I'm happy to be as quick
We'd
as you want
like
me
to
to
go
be.
home in the daylight. It was just barely daylight, though I got out of here yesterday. Yes. This is 214, an act relating to the provision of pre-kindergarten education in geographically isolated districts. So. So, Bill, can you
Yes, can I have a Zoom link, Sharon? Sure. Thank you.
am I on? This going back and forth, I'm not sure on. I'll make sure I'm on today, because I was checking out yesterday's. Okay, so, okay, I do have, sorry. Okay. This is a 1-page bill. Okay.
That's St. James Office of Legislative Counsel. This is the, sorry. This is S 214 as voted out of Senate Education. It was a strike all amendment. The bill originally was only 2 sections, so not much longer. It is an amendment to section 829 in Title 16, which is the pre-K statute. And is where all of your pre-K statutory language lives. There's a whole host of rules. But this is your statute. It does not change anything about any of the current law. It adds a new subsection at the very end, which reads, notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary, the any K choice school district may provide pre-K to eligible pre-K students by paying tuition pursuant to this section to 1 or more pre-K programs operated by a public school in New Hampshire that is located in a school district within 25 miles of the Vermont border. The Essex North Supervisory Union shall be responsible for administering enrollment procedures and managing pre-K tuition payments pursuant to this section and State Board of Education rules. The superintendent may apply for and receive a waiver from the Agency of Ed and the Agency of Human Services of any ruled provision that is impractical for the NEK choice school district or the New Hampshire program by demonstrating that a substantially equivalent provision is offered. And then this provision would take effect on July 1, 2026.
Okay. Reason.
The reason?
Yeah, why are we doing this?
Well, as you know, I cannot breathe life into legislative intent. That is your area of expertise, but my understanding is that this language, there's the NEK choice school district. My understanding is that there is a lack of access to pre-K provided in the state. And most of those children, if not all of those children, receive their K through 12 education in New Hampshire. And because the way our publicly funded pre-K program is regulated and administered, there's lots of references to like Vermont licensed teachers, Vermont early learning standards, as far as who can be pre-qualified to receive public benefits. And so that means that the New Hampshire programs are not eligible under those standards.
And there are no Vermont standards or Vermont
Programs in this area.
That's what I was told is most of these kids go to New Hampshire
Correct.
for the rest of their
Correct.
education.
This language is actually language that was put together by AOE, the Agency of Human Services, in consultation with the NEK Choice School District.
Okay. And I assume if New Hampshire says no, then we're back to square one, but
They don't say no, Mike.
I don't. think so. I have a feeling that section of New Hampshire is in a much better shape than that section of Vermont. Okay. Okay, any questions for Beth? This would basically allow students, pre-K students in
This one school
in
district.
one school district who already sends most, if not all, of their students to New Hampshire to also send their pre-K students, which is just dealt with under a different statute.
Absolutely correct.
Got that right? Okay. Questions for Beth? Okay, now Ezra, you have note for us. Wait, I have Julia first.
Ezra's gonna take the lead on this and just here as
In
moral support.
Okay,
All right, for the record, Ezra Holden, Joint Physical Office. Sharing the screen for you all.
Never know what happens.
All right, so Beth already gave a great walkthrough of the bill. So essentially, Joint Fiscal Office is estimating that this bill would increase education fund expenditures beginning in fiscal year 2028. Based on conversations with members of the NEK Choice School District and the Department of Children and Families, estimating up to 14 students would gain access to universal pre-K through this bill. And the estimated maximum impact is about $60,000 to the education fund, which would be considered de minimis overall. However, as you all know, if you spend additional money in the education fund, an adjustment would be needed to the homestead and or non-homestead property tax rates.
but if we don't do that, and somebody sets up a program here, it'll probably cost a similar amount or more. And because it would only be for 14 kids, or these kids don't have the advantage of pre-K that other students in the state have.
And I would just note that universal pre-K, so the student's parent or guardian needs to find them a spot and choose to enroll them. So it could be that you have fewer than 14 kids who take advantage of this. It depends on the family's decision. And so this is just an estimate based on if all 14 of the estimated students joined based on the UPK tuition rate for what we're estimating for fiscal year 28.
Okay.
Good, great.
What about, okay. Questions committee. Discussion. Our next agenda item is vote.
I would vote favorably S 214 draft number 1.2 as received to us from the Committee on Education.
Okay. We. Senator Chittenden has moved that we report as 214 favorably. Is there any further discussion? Any amendments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Folks say no. I've got that as 502. Okay, oh, we are on a roll. Unfortunately,
that
we're ahead.
I can report to that, Senator. I know that area. I used to have
Okay,
Kirby's
Good.
in my house districts.
Very complex finance report though.
all right, 198. Oh. Tobacco subsidies. Have we got Jen lined up at 2 o'clock?
Supposedly, unless she's needed on the floor.
Not on the floor. Members that are in economic development and we sent you out yesterday with a task, just. Okay, what happened?
We met with the group, and we met with others, and we met with the tax department. I think we came away just on the tobacco piece with the concern that the fee, the rise in fee from $100 to $1,000 for retailers was high and shocking and is not necessary. Given it's the amount of revenue that we raise in terms of the total is not substantial, and so we came back with a vote of the straw vote really of the committee that it probably should get back to something in the $150 range. $150 would be fair. It's just not fair right now, given its impact on the retailers, and we agree.
How about this, okay, it is tobacco.
Yeah, I understand it's going to be coming back here as part of an amendment from approach. That's how.
I don't know, I thought there was a floor amendment coming.
Well, I take that back. It's a floor amendment from.
And the other part of that was doing away with all the penalties for.
We discussed the issue of penalties as far as juvenile offenders. The concern was that if the juvenile offender came in and fraudulently represented something as opposed to simply making a purchase, that is something that is worthy of some kind of penalty, not necessarily a penalty that would result in jail or anything of that nature, but an administrative penalty, and we believe that would be appropriate at that point.
Okay, is that gonna come? As an amendment, all right,
Yeah, we'll do it as an amendment to whatever comes from the.
okay,
Good.
We being Senate Economic Development. We were-
Yeah. okay, I'm.
So-
Still a little concerned if you come in with a fraudulent ID, but if you come in and purchase and you know you're not supposed to. We have 16-year-old clerks.
Mhm.
And we don't give them a buy for making a mistake. They end up in diversion. I assume if they make a second mistake, they end up in court perhaps. But I mean,
What we wanted to do is strike a balance though,
yeah,
in that we did not want to do something that in fact discourages the people from telling us the truth about things and coming forward. And this hopefully has some sort of that a happy middle ground of doing a bit of both. And that's the rational thing.
and
I'm gonna add two things to what Senator Brock just said. The other thing that I believe we were circulating is there's really two retailer fees we're talking about, one for tobacco and then the add-on for vapes. And so I believe with the sense I had in the straw poll discussion was the 150 for tobacco, and then just to track with what current fees are, 75 for vapes. And then the other thing that is in an email, which we didn't take up in Senate Economic Development, but came up yesterday, that I hope that you'll see in a Jen Carvey proposed amendment, is what the DLL asked for, which is the wearable wholesaler fee. Wholesale tobacco to track. Things like that. Yeah, and so that's what I'm hoping you'll see. And then I guess Jen also has some cleanup language that she's asking to include, that having to do with the pub language, not the change. We're gonna make the pub language, but some other conforming language.
okay, so we do need to wait for Jen on that one.
So economic development is doing the fee or just the,
Just a pub.
okay,
So we need to change the fee. And that is our decision, and
I think we need to, but it seems most appropriate for us to. My.
So I think that, as we certainly reflected on the fee increase was excessive. And I know the reason why we did it, but I'm concerned about it.
Would you like to make a message, Jen, see if she can get here?
see if Jen is, tell her we are running ahead. And.
so you're thinking of 3 fees. You got your tobacco fee, your substitute fee, and then this wholesale.
Wholesale fee is what they're asking for.
Yes.
Yes,
DLL supports that.
Yes.
Okay, so we need all of
Three
that.
fees.
Yes, they want the 12,
Line
24,
wholesale,
whatever it is they
liquor.
get for wholesale liquor.
Mhm.
They want for wholesale,
They support that, but not the increase on the retailer.
Correct.
right?
Well, there's
Yeah,
an increase
they-
on retailer, but it's more to, in effect, inflation.
right.
The last time it was done, I think, about 2016 or thereabouts. To take it to 100 and
So here's my question. If hypothetically, if we were to increase that fee, that will generate some amount of revenue, right?
Yeah.
Commissioner, got the title correct, Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight told us they don't need any more money. The money was supposed to be for the position at the AG's office for online enforcement.
Well, that was the 1,000.
But that, yeah, so if we go up by, I don't know, some nominal amount, doesn't
That's
even
not-
buy anything.
No.
No.
Yeah,
If
that's
the
just-
AG
yeah.
wants an enforcement officer, they should go across the hall.
Yeah, they-
Tell them they need an enforcement officer. Trying to do that through fees.
Yeah.
Because we normally would do an inflationary thing for fees. This hasn't been touched since 2016.
Yeah.
We're losing money.
we saw no objection. The assistant AG who handles this area was in the committee when we had this discussion. I didn't have any objection to the change to $150 or thereabouts
Who was in the room?
instead of 1,000 in other words.
Who's been real?
Who's second? No,
Attorney General. Assistant Attorney General.
Yeah, it's the assistant attorney general who handles tobacco and.
Enforcement.
so they're not gonna be, has
They
nothing
don't
to
get the
do with it.
money.
Yeah, has nothing to do with it.
Commissioner Knight objects to
Mhm.
it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sensing a division. I don't
Good sense.
think that the amount of money we're talking about is gonna make or break anyone.
No,
I do like the wholesale tobacco. See, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think everybody supported moving tobacco. Over there, the tax department didn't seem to be very sad about getting rid of it.
Mhm.
Think-
We're gonna be putting a $1,200 fee on them. And. Trying to-
So,
And that money goes to DLL.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're taking on that administration. Apparently, the
Yeah.
tax department was doing it without that. But I have a feeling that was. Okay, I'm looking. 'Cause we don't have anything for stamps.
did we want to talk about the cleaning up the language just on municipality part of it? I talked about the other day.
Give us a section or page.
No, boy, okay. Remember how it said, you have to apply with your town and then you have to pay your town.
Oh, that's right.
It said that in
And then
statute, but in
and-
reality, you go to
right,
the
and
DLL.
you- That was the enforcement officer, that you pay the town. And then the town collects it and sends it to the state. They would like it. This is for liquor or
Well, it used to
tobacco
be,
license.
now they just go online to DLL.
Yeah, now they just
But it
go
still says
online.
in Statute.
And that, but the tobacco says still that you have to get a tobacco license from your town. Town collects it and then the town sends it to the state. And they were saying it would be,
Just go right to DLL.
just tell it to go right to DLL.
Mhm.
It's like the thing we did today where they can't hand you a copy of your title, they have to mail it to you. Just haven't caught up, so, okay, so we need.
Really, in total, there's no rake off as far as the town is concerned. Is that correct?
There's no what?
There's no portion of that fee that goes to the town.
It's not one of them does.
That's what I was trying to.
Liquor?
Liquor goes partly to the town,
But not tobacco.
but not tobacco. Because the town doesn't issue like, yeah, maybe events would canvass, but, and that fee was staying with the town. Part of it stayed.
Part just that is.
Because the town will, and I assume they'll charge you extra for police protection or something, but, there is the town does regulate you. You don't have a place where people all, well, maybe with the hookahs, you sit around and smoke, but they do regulate bars and restaurants, and there is some oversight going on there. And I know the standard question was, do you serve food with your alcohol or alcohol with your food? Because there's a different license between a bar and a restaurant. Okay, so we need Jen on that.
She's across the hall, should be done any minute.
Okay,
It's a one-page bill. Why is it a huge bundle?
Mhm.
Sorry, I thought that was like a one-page bill.
no,
What other one is doing?
Oh, there's two.
That's it.
Oh,
So,
was there an amendment on this one?
yes,
No, not the,
Ag bill.
oh yeah, not the,
And
Okay.
universal.
oh, no, not the.
I'm just reporting to
pre-K.
universal pre-K.
Are you doing ag as well? Yes. Perfect.
Okay, sign away. Jen will be here momentarily. And if we can keep her, we will. Let's see how many of these bills we can get up.
What did the finance, anyone wanna?
Ag came out with some language cleanup and stripping out the, if you donate $2,000 with this.
That's okay.
And universal pre-K, letting the kids in the Essex Choice School District follow all their brothers and sisters to New Hampshire public schools. Already stated. Those are the two we've gotten out. There will be a floor amendment. It's our understanding from economic development. If there isn't, I'll have one.
For cannabis? or
No,
tobacco?
this is for tobacco. They will be doing a floor amendment that will reinstate the penalty for false ID. So there will be a penalty for breaking the law.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would be punishing the 16-year-old clerk and not the 20-year-old college student.
Right.
So they will do that, and then they are willing. They're willing to do away with the $1,000 fee.
Okay.
And they are willing to go to 150. All right. Hi. So anyway. But that's our call to make. Right. That and the 150 would be a inflationary increase since 2016, I think. When you catch your breath. Over there, it's just. Well, we gotta get all these bills on over there. And they just told me 2 more need to go, so. We're trying to knock them out here too. And I know they're losing 2 members at 2:00 tomorrow. And I think Senator Hardy may be there. She's going somewhere to testify. After. And Probst was looking, so she may be across the hall.
She's in education right now.
She's in education. Okay. I know you had other places she needed to be.
Do you know? So which bill do you want to look at?
Well, the next one on the agenda is 198. That's tobacco. And I think it's our understanding there will be an amendment on the penalties for purchasing. coming from the other committee. So we are looking at the fees, and it has been agreed, it's our understanding between the two committees, that going from $100 to $1,000 is probably a little steep, and that we would go back. The department says, that they don't need any more money, but economic development thinks that going from 1 to 150 would be an inflationary adjustment
that would be appropriate.
and would be appropriate. So,
Can we entertain some higher numbers? I know I heard that New Mexico's 750 and we've heard some other numbers. Can we?
Other numbers that are in the $250 range. We felt that an inflationary adjustment probably more appropriate for maybe for the retailers, since there are lots of punishing money involved in the sale of the product, that is recovered for the harm that the product does, but laying it all on small Vermont retailers, was a bit overburdening.
Didn't you vote it out of your committee though? You
We did.
unanimously?
And we certainly had second thoughts.
Not unanimous.
Oh, great, sorry, 4-1, but with the $1,000. So now it's been second thoughts after that, okay?
There were second thoughts before we voted it out, admittedly, that we thought the Senate Finance should appropriately have a discussion.
Gotcha.
it was a plus.
Okay, I understand.
The other one we wanted to do an amendment on, I think, is the whole issue with, I guess now, to get a liquor license, you can go online and get it directly from the state. But with tobacco, you're going to have to get the license. Now that it's been separated from alcohol, you're going to have to get a license at the local level. The local level will collect it and send it to the state. And the suggestion from the enforcement people was just apply to the State Department of Liquor and Lottery, get your license and pay your license. Because the towns don't now they license the sale of alcohol in their town, but not tobacco.
So Jen Carty, Legislative Council, it sounded yesterday, it sounded a little bit more complicated than that, because it sounded like they still applied to the municipality, but the money didn't need to go through the municipality to the state, but there may still need to be an application that involves the municipality. I wasn't, thank you.
Hi, Anne Joanne from Liquor and Lottery. It's all one system. So you currently apply for a tobacco license or liquor license all through the same online licensing platform. Statute directs that fee goes to the municipality and then is transferred to the Department of Liquor and Lottery. We thought, good government. It just goes directly to us. But there's.
And it's all done online now?
Yes.
Okay,
May I ask a question on that? So do municipalities still have the option, or do the applicants, can they submit a check at their local city clerk, and then they submit it? No, it has to be done required.
okay. So it's already being done online and going directly to you, either with a charge card number or something like PayPal. All right. So it's not good. I've never known the town clerks to object to having work taken away. They have enough as it is. And
So it seems like the lead-in language says, for a license or endorsement required under this section, a person shall apply to the legislative body of the municipality. So it sounds like they're no longer applying to the legislative body of the municipality, or they do.
No, they apply through Liquor and Lottery.
Okay.
I think they did, they may have, when the licenses were together.
Well, they're still together right now.
As they
You're
should be.
right.
We're
in the bill,
separating.
You're separating,
Right.
right? It sounds like right now they don't apply to the municipality.
I
Even though they are-
I never had to do a cigarette license. I did a lot of liquor licenses when I was in municipal government.
So then it seems like, let me just pull that language up so we can all look at it. Right. Eight. Not that.
All right, can I add a clarifying point? The municipality has to approve it.
Hmm.
But it is not their proprietary system, I guess. It is through the flow, it goes to municipalities approved by them. That's the point.
Payments cannot be accepted at the local level. They have to go onto this website platform.
Okay, so then we would want to keep the language saying they have to apply to the legislative body of the municipality, but the fee part doesn't go to the municipality, is that the? And I wondered if we would want to take out A here, that they pay to the Division of Liquor Control the applicable liquor license for a liquor and tobacco license, because that's like now decoupled them. I feel like that's something I missed the first time. So I think we would want to take out A and then just remove the legislative body of the municipality in B and C.
Okay, and we're taking out $1,000.
Right, and I've got an amendment work going for you already that will do that change. But we may need to amend more. So here's
Right
what I
now,
have.
we've got 150 in there
Right, here's what I have.
from one.
There's a working draft of an amendment that would strike out B and C and put in, go from 110 to 150 and 50 to 75. What I'm saying, we may need to get rid of A and we may need to strike out to the legislative body of the municipality here. If that's not where the fee part is going.
Okay, so now I have to go into the clerk's office. She gives me a license, but I have to go home and pay for that license online. That sounds high risk.
No, sorry, it's all one, you don't go into the municipality to apply, you apply online. It is routed technologically to the municipality for approval.
So I sit down at my computer and I want to sell tobacco at my store in Montpelier. I go online and you issue the tobacco permit
Yes,
and I pay you.
Do you issue the permit or does it have to be approved by the local municipality?
it has to be approved, but it is issued by the department.
For a tobacco license? Oh. Should we
It's not
do
getting
this
compliant.
alone and let the other body figure it out?
Oh, that's. I'm almost wondering if that might be better.
That might be. They're gonna have more time and we could make things worse rather than better.
And give them something.
You would change the fees the way you want them to, but
Yes,
let
we
the
change
house
the
deal
fees,
with.
but leave the language. It's maybe less convenient the way it is, but I think we should find out who is actually. Right. You may need that permit when they were together. I never heard it referred to a tobacco license, but we'll let the other body have fun on that. Okay,
So put this language back up. Then the amendment, if you would like. We can talk about these numbers. So here again is where I had changed, at least for your discussion purposes. 110 going to 150 rather than 1,000, and the 50 going to 75 rather.
Okay,
And then we have a couple of other instances too.
where we change things.
Yes, instances of amendment, putting in the license fee for a wholesale license. And this is to match the amount for, the liquor wholesalers.
This is the transferring from tax
And I do think we may need to do some additional changes, and maybe this is another house thing as well. There is, the term of the license in existing law is, I think you get a license and you keep it as long as you continue operating at that place. I don't know if the department has a different take on renewals. I think the email even sent just saying that initial renewals, and they don't seem to do renewals in the wholesaler world. I don't know if that,
I can get back to your preferred term one.
so for now, at least I say the license fee shall be
Okay,
$1,245 for each outlet, which is the same as the per location
okay,
wholesaler license fee for alcohol.
okay.
And the towns are not involved in that at all. Is that correct?
I don't believe the towns are involved in the wholesaler piece. And then I struck the language in, taken from existing laws and just showing you that it would come out, that it is without charge, because now we're putting in the charge. And then the third instance is just cleaning up in the following provision. It uses the term fine, but that implies criminal. And throughout the rest of the chapter, we talk about civil penalties. So I'm suggesting that we change the fines
Fine to civil.
to civil penalty, subject to a civil.
Okay,
Can you scroll up the first instance of offender? Okay, thank you.
Is that, were those all the amendments?
That was it. That's all I'm aware of so far in this committee.
that's pretty much our domain in this one.
Mhm.
If the other body comes through with their amendment, if not, I intend to put in. If not the other body, the other committee.
I have every reason to believe Senate Economic Development to be supportive of that.
Yeah.
Of laws.
Rediscussing or we asking Jen questions for both?
We don't have a motion yet. This is the proposal. There, I know there's some people who would like to have that fee not go up, and there's some people who would like it to go up more. But this is the fee that gets charged. The general store, the gas station, for the privilege of selling cigarettes and other products. I think we know, and we haven't had time. Normally, when we do anything like this, the folks on the Connecticut River border are here. Being concerned.
We heard that one.
Don't have the draft numbers yet. I guess she's gonna have to send it over.
Well, so yes, it's 1.1. To Charlotte right now.
Okay. So committee, can we live with this one?
Sure, I mean, I'll state for the record, I think the 150 should be higher. I heard the AG's office wanting to sort of reflect the cost of what Vermonters are paying for the health, outcomes associated with tobacco, and, that a higher fee would be helpful in that regard. I also hear all of you and wanting to protect our local businesses, but I just wanted to say for the record, I would wish it were higher. But not 1,000, but higher.
Okay,
I would say keep the same, because, what these fees are used for is the enforcement, and what we heard the other day is that enforcement in our stores is quite high. So by punishing our retailers by increasing the fees, we subject for that enforcement, which I think the next committee over might take that position out. By increasing those fees, I think it's in the wrong area, and also adding this wholesaler would be a revenue increase as well. I would leave it at the 110 and 50 while adding the wholesale, this new license. That's kind of where I fall. Looking at statistics, and it looks like this use is coming down across the US. It's what I've seen.
cigarettes, but not vapes.
And not with the young people.
FDA said,
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
This would be one.
FDA,
I will.
I thought that too, yeah. It has leveled out.
That's good.
Okay. I don't think that includes cannabis.
I don't think tobacco use has anything to do with it.
Okay. There are other options. All right. So figuring in, I think you can figure that the $1,247 per outlet would probably get reflected in the cost of
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
So given that, do we want to raise that fee?
The wholesale thing.
No, given the. No, it's charged to different people. All right.
You're talking about the tobacco wholesale.
Yeah, I'm
fee,
trying to get a vote count for the 150. I think I've got one yes, I've got one no. 2 yeses,
I'm a yes on the one thing.
150. Okay,
Will be a very good market, yes.
I think we've done as much as we need to do. So we have.
I mean, at the end of the day, it really is.
We
Step
have
thousand.
a draft amendment number 1.1 to Bill 198. I assume it's dated somewhere around 210. Today, and it would raise the fee from 110 to 150, which has been estimated as inflation. That's for your local retail license. It would put in the tobacco wholesaler fee of $12.45, which is saying this is to cover the cost of switching that program over to liquor and lottery from tax. They will have to
Right, I
do
do
that.
that is related to their administration, just as they do for administering the liquor wholesale.
Right. This is what they get for liquor. And we had one other change.
The fine to civil penalty.
Fine and civil
Yes,
penalties,
I don't
which is
it's
it's a
word, it's a conforming.
wordsmith.
Yeah,
We don't use the word fines anymore.
we do for criminal context, not for civil context.
Okay,
No, I don't think anybody's going
This
to
applies
jail on
to
the,
16-year-olds.
no, that's the unlicensed wholesaler.
Oh, the unlicensed wholesaler, come on.
so
To be clear, we're voting to amend the bill. We're not voting on the whole bill, right?
we're voting to amend.
3 instances of amendment.
Instances of amendment. I need a motion.
I would move committee draft amendment 1.1 on S 198 with this.
Further discussion. Not,
Do you want to roll on this or not?
I don't know. Would you rather I not do it?
Well, we've had a lot of debate, Jen.
Okay,
All right.
I'll defer to Bloomer. I need.
Bloomer says I have all power.
Great. Yes,
He's
I
ruling
will
the
be
day.
back because I think have a bunch of other bills for you and I don't know.
Actually, we have you for every bill this afternoon.
Okay, well, as soon as they take up my bill on the House floor. I'll be-
Okay, well, we're gonna move right on to internationally trained physicians.
Okay.
I just found out we have to get that one out. All right. All right, if we would prefer, I will just say, this is the motion to amend with 1.1. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Nay.
Hey.
I have got 4, 2,
For very.
One. the vote I heard was 4, 2, 1.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, that's the vote you got. Yeah.
Now, I need a motion on the bill as
Then
amended.
I would move S 198 favorably as amended.
Okay. Motion, Senator Chittenden to move S 198 favorably as amended. On this one, why don't you call the roll?
Just to clarify, so that means it's 198, so it still has the issue about pup laws. Still has that in there, correct? Got our fee changes. Didn't touch anything on ELL on how it
No.
moves. Okay. I just want to make sure I know where I'm at in my head.
Yeah. We are just looking at our section, which is the fees.
Oh, we're looking at the whole thing.
Then there's a whole other section we understand that. I think some of us had concerns about that will be subject to an amendment from economic development, which was the underage purchasing. If they don't put a floor amendment out, I will.
So that's why I'm gonna say like, gonna be a no right now because
Right.
of that.
Right, we have not touched it, it really isn't in our domain, we asked them to please fix it so we feel comfortable for some of this. Okay. So, all person, the further discussion. Okay, clerk call the roll.
Senator Chittenden.
Yep.
Senator Beck.
Yes.
Senator Hardy. Senator Brock.
Yes.
Senator Gulick.
Yes.
Senator Mattos, no. Senator Cummings.
Yes.
Uh,
Okay, I've got that as 511.
I'm reporting out of, I'm happy to report this unless
Okay.
somebody else wanted to.
Somebody else really want to report this? Okay,
Senator
Thank
Brock,
you.
did you want this?
you can.
all right. The room can now empty because we're going on. For internationally trained.
I'm not interested in this one, but I really have to go to the restroom. Oh, quick, okay, I'll be back.
Well, we don't have Jen in here and I need Jen for both. After that is optometrist.
Well, I'm here.
You're here. True.
I've only got a short window,
Are you here to talk about
142.
142? All right, and we have Jen here. No, you're an optometrist.
No, I'm.
I'm optometrist.
You're
Is that bad? Yeah, all right. Talk to us about 142 on your short window.
Sorry. Right.
That's
Okay.
All right.
We got. What's it gonna cost?
So for the record, Noel Langle, the Joint Fiscal Office. So I won't talk about, I'm in draft bill, so I'm not gonna go into the weeds about it, but what ultimately the bill does, it proposes to establish a pathway for licensure, including provisional licenses to practice medicine with supervision and a limited license to practice medicine for internationally trained physicians and medical graduates. It would also require the health department, in collaboration with the Board of Medical Practice, to provide the committee's jurisdiction a report that detailed the pathways to licensure for internationally trained physicians and medical graduates as an alternative. So in short, it's just basically a way for folks who are, with a shortage of providers, it's a way for folks who have been trained elsewhere to find a path of licensure to practice in Vermont to help shorten help with the provider shortage. In order to implement this, the Board of Medical Practice actually would need resources to do that. They don't need it until fiscal year 2028. And that would be a program that includes 1 to 3 FTEs for administration, for credential verification, training program approval, clinical evaluation, oversight, and other stuff. The annualized cost of each position includes salary, including salary, fringe benefits, and other costs could be as much as $150,000 per person. They might need between 1 and 3 people. The reason why they don't know what it costs is because Section 4 says do a study that tells us how much it costs. So the bill sort of says go do this and do a study. And so we don't know what it costs until we do the study. The other thing we don't know is, so other states have done this, such as Colorado and Iowa, They hired staff, but they also hired consultants at a cost between 150,000 and 750,000 to sort of do the program. So again, the Board of Medical Examiners would have to tell us, this is what we need to do the program. So there's no appropriation in this bill, but it does have financial and resource needs for fiscal year 28 when it goes into effect.
And there's no fee, but there might be a different fee
So-
if we go to license them.
So here's the issue on that. So there's no fees and there's no appropriations in this bill. And normally the Board of Medical Exam, is that called the Board of Medical Practice, sorry. The health department told me they're fully funded by fees. The problem with this is that there would be so few people that do this, the fees wouldn't cover the costs. So you probably would need an appropriation as well. But we don't know what that appropriation would be until they do the study and tell us how much we need. The thing is,
No, sorry, is that the MSO dues that
I'm not.
provided to us? Something. That's what we'll allow. It's for different light, MSO dues, being paid.
No idea.
Board of Medical Practice, they regulate doctors.
Yeah, they regulate the profession.
Yeah.
So in short, there's no appropriation in this bill. There's no fees in this bill. By voting this out, you are, in the current form, you are basically committing to a future program. But the governor would have to come in fiscal year 28, assuming he signs the bill with, this is what we need. But you'd also have a study that would say this is what we need. So it does have fiscal impact. It will need an appropriation. It potentially could use fees. You just don't need to do them now. But by voting for it, you are committing to moving forward.
To at least moving forward. We do. In health and it came out unanimously, I believe in health and welfare. We have some very highly trained medical professionals, but most these are doctors. Right now, I think they're one alternative is to go through an entire residency program. Is that right, Jen? That they would have to go through residency here, you go.
One of
No,
ours.
that's right.
I
You know,
was
they're
wondering,
not-
The one area they don't do, I meant to say that, but
Yeah,
Uh,
they would
it's the Board of Medical
it's-
Practice, yeah.
for many of, and they can't have been out of practice for so many years and. So. We have some highly qualified people who. Because they're here, need to support families and, find that residency is very difficult. We need doctors. And there was some testimony that immigrant doctors are more inclined to stay in rural areas, especially if they come from them. So this is starting the process. And depending on what we find out and what it's going to cost, we can say not worth it. In the future, we can always step back, but this is I'm assuming there would be a fee for licensing and a fee for special license or renewals. Yeah, renewals at some point, but
in theory, that would all be part of this report.
yeah.
It should be. If it isn't, then it's
Right.
will be.
Did I have a little something?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Cummings. I just wanted to add, we're not breaking any new ground here. This is something that's already happening and I don't remember the number
It
of
was a lot,
states.
I was surprised.
It was
a large
Quite a
number.
few states are
Yeah.
already doing this to great success. And so we would give, and that's what's gonna happen with this work is they're gonna look at what other states are doing and try to come up with a plan. Nolan, am I saying something wrong? Okay.
New York.
You would be something.
That's just me being half away.
I got you.
Cross over.
Okay.
That-
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we're on staff than us. Yeah, New York is one of the states and there was some discussion about maybe we could have New York do the certifications for us because they do so many more than we would ever do. We're looking at probably 3, 4 We don't not,
Could just have me be part of the health network and then they could just.
but they've got to get licensed. So this is the
Okay.
exploratory part.
Yeah.
What would it take?
They'll look into collaborations with,
No money this year,
or anywhere. Yeah.
maybe money or maybe fees. We don't care if it costs money, but maybe there's fees across the hall. But we desperately need, especially primary care dogs, but a lot of specialty dogs too.
And there's the fiscal note online.
Okay, would you like me to make a motion?
If you are so inclined.
I'll make a motion to vote, S 154. That might be 142, sorry, folks, to vote 142. Favorably on the committee.
Okay. Then if you look at that we report at 42 favorably as it was sent to us by the City on Health and Welfare. Any further discussion? If not, clerk want to call the roll. Sure.
Senator Chittenden,
Yeah.
Senator Beck,
Yes.
Senator Hardy. Senator Brock,
Yes.
Senator Gulick,
Yes.
Senator Meadows, yes. Senator Cummings,
Yes. Okay.
6-0.
601. Senator Helix, would you like to report that one?
I'd be happy to.
Good. I am not gonna do the next one without Jen.
Would you like to see if I can get John's here by chance?
See if John is free because I think we need to do
Cemeteries?
vandalism.
Yeah, 275 and 64 to go. Oh, Jason, we're cooking.
Wow.
64.
What are you doing?
Jake, that-
What are you doing?
Right, yeah, 64. Yeah.
We can, yeah, 64 is optometrist and my emails are they blowing up. Jen, can you talk to us about optometry?
I'm happy to.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
While we're trying to get Jen,
I'm so excited.
many Jens, well, we're trying to get Jen.
I won't measure up to Jen Carby, but I'm Jen Colvin. I'm the director of the Office of Professional Regulation. Thanks for having me. Yes, I'm here regarding F-64, which is an act relating to amendments to the scope of practice for optometrists. And OPR fully supports this bill. We have studied eyeballs for way too long at OPR. That work started back in 2019. We've done multiple reports. The first report, these are sunrise reports that we conduct in accordance with 26 DSA Chapter 57, which gives us the criteria to study and research when we are contemplating either regulating a new profession or contemplating a scope expansion in an existing profession. And so this would be a scope expansion in an existing profession of optometry. And the scope expansion would be for advanced procedures. And these procedures are laser procedures, surgical procedures, and injection procedures in and around the eye. So we started studying this in 2019, and we reached out to all of the optometry schools in the United States, asking them for information about what's taught in their schools to confirm that there would be adequate educational foundation for optometrists who get this credential to be able to do these advanced procedures. We heard back from no one. So the result of our first report was that we could not support the scope expansion because we didn't have adequate information to assess what the educational foundation. Senate Gov Op asked us to give it another go and also to study, in addition to educational curricula in the different schools, they asked us to take a look at state by state. What are other states allowing with respect to this? Excuse me. So we gave it a second crack. We heard back from all of the optometry schools. They all provided information that there is substantial educational foundation. This is being taught in all, these advanced procedures are being taught in all optometry schools. And that the advanced procedures really were being, taught and practiced in labs and on models. One finding that we did have was that most of the schools were not able to allow students to perform the procedures on live human subjects. So we came back in our second report and said, we think this can be done safely, that the educational foundation is there, but that some additional training would be needed to ensure that practice on live human patients is a component prior to getting this specialty. So you'll see in S64 that there is a component where everybody who seeks this specialty has to do an 8-hour preceptorship with somebody who's got experience in performing these procedures, and they have to do a certain types of procedures during that 8-hour preceptorship. So with that and with the educational requirements, OPR felt that it is safe from a public protection lens, and we support this effort. In the OPR statutes, the general OPR statutes in Title III, there is a fee for specialties. So it's not a new statutes for specialties, which is, I think, kind of why it wasn't obvious in this bill, because it's not set out in S64 what the fee would be. So it is $100 to get a specialty credential from OPR. There's no renewal fee, which at some point we're probably going to address that, but for all professions, not just this one. But right now there's no renewal fee for that specialty. It's just $100 to get it. So also, we're not asking for any appropriation. And I think this bill started last year, and I may have mistakenly in a committee said that we needed an appropriation, and I was mistaken. We do not, because optometry is an established profession, and we get licensing fees from that profession that can support whatever IT work we need to do to get this going. And then we'll have that $100 specialty credential fee. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? We're looking at the fees.
Yes.
Both health and welfare was 3-2, right? I was one of the two. But I will probably vote yes to the fees, because that's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
And the fee is just the $100 specialty fee,
That's it.
and that's similar to other professions that have
All
specialty.
professions that have a specialty.
Okay.
Unless the specialty exists solely for our data gathering purpose, and there are only a couple of those, but for all of our professions, the fee's $100 unless there's no fee for it.
Okay.
But this one would be $100.
Okay. Committee.
Let me ask you a question. Is $100 fee based on anything? Or is it based on the average amount of time they take?
Well, I was gonna say, that's right. I mean, for every specialty, we have to do IT work. And then there are additional educational requirements or practice requirements that our licensing administrators have to assess whenever we get one of these applications. So yeah, I think generally we've arrived at $100 being an adequate fee for the work that it takes to do that IT setup and process those initial applications.
And this might be, I'm assuming Ted's coming up to, or maybe not.
Do you
Oh, is there an
I-
estimate for how many people you think are gonna get these specialty licenses?
Well, what I can say is that we have 168 optometrists in the state. So that's a very small group. And then I think we estimate about a third of those would be interested in this specialty based upon data that we retrieve from other states, just extrapolating. Okay, this state allows these specialties. They have, 40% of their optometrists have this. This state has the specialties and only 15%. So we just kind of came up with a median range based upon what other states.
Okay, so $5,000 to $6,000 in fees, if about a third of them. Yeah.
If I can, temporary joint fiscal office, I worked with OPR, and they shared the information they gleaned and they went about it in exactly the same way I would have gone about it. So yes, it is about $5,000 to $6,000 on that initial hit of folks who would adopt the specialty, and as additional optometrists decide to take it on in future years, you might see $100 here and there. But yeah, it's relatively small in scope of things, and it would go to the PR professional regulatory fee fund to be used for the board of optometrists.
That's right, and we are a special fund agency, so we don't generally ask for appropriations, we exist on fees.
Committee.
Are we waiting for Jen or can we vote?
We're looking at these. I think this Jen has,
She's on the floor.
she's on the floor.
Jen, got the-
Jen too. I will leave it to your comfort level. Basically, this committee is looking at that $100 fee.
I move that we find a report from Health and Welfare Payment.
Senator Beckett's moved that we favorably as 64 as it was sent to us from Senate Health and Welfare. Is there any further discussion? If not, the clerk call the roll.
Yeah. Senator Chittenden,
Yes.
Senator Beck,
Yes.
Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Brock,
Yes.
Senator Hewlett,
Yes.
Senator Mathos, yes. Senator Cummings.
Yes,
7-0.
okay.
Thank you.
If you would like to report this, think of that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I
$5,000.
think Senator. No, who's doing it? Are you too strict for health and welfare?
Morley.
Morley, okay.
I couldn't watch the video, so I don't feel comfortable. I didn't watch the video. I called me.
You're Sweden.
No thanks.
Okay. So next we have, oh, I get out of here. F-275. We don't have any, where did, people keep asking me about a psychologist prescribing.
It's an age.
It's an income bill, that's
It's not here
right,
yet.
that's, well, it's here. I don't have to get it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's very okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that one, I do intend to get out, and probably the first thing.
Chris.
Great. All right, Martine, they got something for you to sign. Oh, we are.
We are. Did you do that?
We have one more bill to do, and we're done.
Wow.
We've done everything for today, so happy 75.
Did you do that, Axel? Did you?
Yep.
Okay.
Tripped up the curfews thing. Yeah. You reported that, right? Yes.
You want me to bring this on? I'm gonna click it. I'm sorry, I didn't miss here.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
We'll be to you like-
Or you did that.
Yeah, I have to go there at 3, so.
Okay, well, this one should be a simple little.
Just have you done it?
yet.
Oh, secondary?
All right. So if we get all of these done, I'm not gonna start H bills tomorrow. We'll see if anything comes over.
So are you saying tomorrow have it off?
Well, only if nothing else pops up.
Amazing.
We will see. Let's see how we do on this one, but I think this will clean our board. So, John, come on up. We lose Ted.
It was lost Ted.
We lost Ted.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
That is not one of your characteristics typically.
Contrary what my high school classmates told me, John Gray. All right.
It is the end of crossover week, yes.
Here we go. S-275. I understand from Ted there may be a slight wrinkle, but I don't know that it has to be resolved today. So I will walk you through what came out of government operations. So this is a bill for the creation of the Cemetery Vandalism Response Fund. See if I can make that look a little bit larger. Let's try. Else. So section 1 is amending the existing chapter of Title 18, our health chapter that governs cemeteries, to add a few definitions that are specific to this response fund. So this is generally targeted at certain kinds of damage that occur in cemeteries. It's an attempt to gather contributions that would go into a fund that would be used to provide discretionary grants to repair those cemeteries that are damaged by vandalism. So the first thing I'm going to call out here is you'll see the addition of protected category. This is pulling in the Title 13 definition of protected category, which is what is used for hate crimes. So it includes things like race, age, sex, religion. It will be clear why this is pulled in here later.
Dead people.
The idea, as we'll come to it, is that among the considerations that the entity authorizing the grants will look to is whether or not the vandalism to the damaged property appears to be based on it being targeted to someone's membership in a particular group. It would just be one of the considerations that they undertake, but that's why you see protected category pulled in here. No new definition created, it just uses an existing definition. Qualifying damage, this is the kind of damage that would be repaired by these grants. It's damage caused by acts of vandalism that cannot be repaired by means of regular maintenance. So two pieces have to be from vandalism, which we'll come to that shortly, and also that they cannot be repaired through regular maintenance. So as you can think of this, your standard operating budget for the cemetery would cover the repair for these damages. You're not going to get a grant to cover that cost.
But if there's a 1750 grant and the stone is
yeah, you may need something beyond regular maintenance to repair it. So that's what this response fund would be for.
just knocked over, setting it, resetting it.
I doubt that that would constitute, I mean, it could constitute vandalism, I guess, which we can look at that definition. Regular maintenance, it's almost a useless definition because it tells you the same thing that it says in the words, but regular maintenance means regular upkeep. Helpful, including mowing and tree removal. I like that.
No weeding.
I will just say that this was, it could include those things. This is a rerun of a bill from years ago. So don't blame me. Or do. Okay, vandalism includes a mental element to this. So it's not just damage. This is why I was talking about the knocked over. Vandalism means the willful or malicious destruction or defacement of property in a cemetery. And then we have a list of examples. Could be the toppling of memorial stones, damage to crypts, niches, grave sites, monuments, or memorials. The mental state here is meant to get an intentional activity or activity that is targeted, someone that's intended to cause harm. So it's not accidental. It's not even reckless conduct. So you can imagine someone undertaking regular maintenance to upkeep the cemetery that accidentally topples a memorial stone. That's not vandalism. It's only willful or malicious destruction or defacement, but it does include things beyond writing words, right? It's actual damage to the property. So there's a broad bucket of things that could fall in here, assuming that they met the mental condition required here. And I will just say that as we'll come to it, the considerations for extending the grants are going to require the VOCA, Vermont Old Cemetery Association, who's making this determination to examine these things. So ultimately, it's going to be part of their call as to what counts. So that's your definition section. Section 2 adds a new section to the same chapter, the cemeteries chapter, for cemetery vandalism response grants. Under subsection A, you can see that it's the Vermont Old Cemetery Association, VOCA, that will provide those grants to repair vandalized cemeteries. And then there's some pieces leading up to the extension of the grants. So within 30 days after discovery of an act of vandalism, an agency means cemetery, effectively. That's what agency means in this context. A cemetery shall report the act to VOCA either verbally or in writing. So it is mandatory, just to call it out. This does require the cemeteries to report to VOCA within 30 days after discovery of an act of vandalism. Provide written notice to the lot owner or, to the extent practicable, next of kin if damage was done to a crypt, niche, gravesite, monument, or memorial. And that notice would have to include material to advise the lot owner or next of kin to seek insurance benefits that may be available pursuant to a homeowner's insurance policy. You can think of this as ensuring that when this arrives to VOCA, all funds that would regularly be available to repair that would have already been sought. So you would decrease the amount that would be needed here effectively. And a copy of the notice would be maintained by the cemetery agency. Within 6 months after reporting an act of vandalism, the agency may apply to VOCA for a grant to repair the qualifying damage. So B is saying, provide these notices about damage. And then C is saying, if you would like to get funds for this, you may apply to the Vermont Old Cemetery Association for a grant to repair that qualifying damage. On page 3, we have the requirements for the grant application itself shall include a description of the qualifying damage, photographs, and the date that report was filed with VOCA. A copy of any letters, newspaper ads, other documented attempts to obtain funding for the repair from the family of the deceased. Copy of other reports related to the act of vandalism filed in accordance with law. These are the sorts of things that might assist in that consideration we talked about before, the targeted toward protected category. If there had been an investigation, for example. A copy of the bid submitted by at least 2 contractors for the cost of repairs. I do recall in my first testimony to government operations, there was some question raised around whether or not it's even practical for folks to get 2 bids from contractors on this, but ultimately the committee voted this out with this requirement for bids from at least 2 contractors. And then the application should also include a statement signed by the cemetery commissioner or other proper officer that the agency has no available funds specifically authorized for repair of the vandalism. That it's not been able to obtain sufficient funds from the families of the deceased, including those insurance benefits that would be noticed in the notice that goes out to them, and the proposed costs of the repairs are fair and reasonable. So basically an attestation that they've done what they can to get funds and they would be appropriate instances. Those are the elements that are required for the application. Description of damage, including photographs, copy of letters, ads, attempts to obtain funding, copy of reports filed in accordance with law, bids submitted for cost of repairs, and then an attestation of sort of good faith attempts to seek funds for this. Give me a pause there.
One thing you said is they have to say they don't have funding
Specifically authorized for repair.
specifically authorized.
This is something that GovOps did change. As this was initially drafted, it was something along the lines of has no funds available for the repair. And the testimony that was heard from the secretaries was that they might have a general bucket of sort of maintenance funds.
Yeah,
And they wanted to make sure that having that bucket of maintenance funds didn't exclude them from the grant. So this is saying what you have to certify is that you have no funds that are specifically authorized for the repair of that vandalism, meaning do you have a pool of funds that are for repair of vandalism?
I think if I were on the cemetery commission and I knew there was state money available, I would make sure there was no local money available, even though I had.
I sure would too if I were a strategic person. Yes.
Yes,
Good thing you're not.
I'm not a strategic person, so it doesn't occur to me.
these are very practical.
But it is something that the Committee on Government Operations took a specific position on. They were concerned about the breadth of the first language. So that's what's in the grant application. And then there's the discretionary review to actually award the grant itself. So under subdivision 2, a VOCA representative shall review the qualifying damage within 90 days after receipt of a complete grant application and make a determination based on these factors. Whether there is qualifying damage, so you could submit a report and it turns out it doesn't meet the definition of qualifying damage. It's something that, for instance, could have been repaired by regular maintenance, in which case that sort of addresses somewhat of the concern that you're pointing out. If it was conceivably covered through regular maintenance costs, then it might not be qualifying damage. Severity of the qualifying damage. Consider whether the vandalism is part of a wave of vandalism. I frankly don't know exactly what this means. But perhaps it's that a cemetery is struck by many acts of vandalism.
Does happen.
Or several cemeteries in town.
Right. Yeah. So
Halloween, maybe the spray paint came out.
Yep, so,
went through.
so while I don't know what it means, I assume that this is a meaningful part and means something to cemeteries who have presumably experienced things of this kind.
You might be able to fix one broken gravestone,
Mhm.
but many broken or defaced would be much more challenging.
In part there, what you'll run up against is picked up in one of the later considerations here, which is the final one, H, availability of monies. Right, can the fund actually cover the cost of all repairs? That'll be another question. So
All right.
D, emotional distress to visiting families. E, this is the consideration we've previously spoken about during the definition section, whether the vandalism appears to be motivated in whole or in part. So it doesn't have to be exclusively on this basis, but if in part it is motivated by a person's actual or perceived membership in a protected category. The term person here is intentionally generic, right? It's not saying that it has to be the damaged property's perceived membership in a protected category, even something that is targeted against a group that is not. For instance, the family that
What
we see.
swastika is on all
Exactly.
graves.
Exactly. So whether the vandalism seems to be targeted to the person's perceived membership in a protected category. Presumably, some of this would also be picked up in subdivision D, emotional distress to visiting families, but this is to give it some additional consideration. F, the appropriateness of priorities of payments from the Cemetery Vandalism Response Fund. I take this to be getting at, has the cemetery in the past acted in good faith with
I
the
was gonna
funds
say,
it's
this
received?
isn't I haven't seen any numbers, but this isn't an unlimited fund.
No, I think it's fairly small. Actually.
Yeah.
The priority of application based upon previous allocations. See that cutting either way, frankly, if you've received previous allocations to repair a number of things. They're trying to get you to completing all of the repairs in their cemetery, or they're saying you previously received 5 allocations from us, so someone else is deserving. It doesn't tell us in which direction, but this is one of the factors that VOCA would consider. And then lastly, the piece that we talked about, availability of monies. I think even if you don't include this as a consideration, it is obviously something that will be considered. It's going to be hard to award a grant with no grant money. So,
This is a lot of stuff for a little fund.
yeah. Yes. More mechanical pieces here. Upon approval, the VOCA treasurer will disperse those funds directly to the appropriate cemetery commissioner or the proper officer. And the agency would apply those disbursements to the repair of the vandalized property described in the application. And the last sort of important piece here, any funds remaining after those have been performed would be returned to VOCA for redeposit in the Cemetery Vandalism Response Fund. And then there would be a report that accompanies this. So within 90 days after receiving disbursements, the agency shall make a final report to VOCA, would include the repairs made and by whom, the amount of funds expended, and the amount of funds to be returned to VOCA, if any. If they haven't been completed, because this is within 90 days, right? The reason shall be explained and the anticipated date for a subsequent final report shall be provided. According to any additional report shall be sworn by the officer. So together, what you see in this section as a whole are requirements for the grant application, prescribing the factors for consideration by the VOCA representative to extend the discretionary grant, disbursement of those funds and requirement to be returned after you've completed the repair, if you have any left over, and then a final report essentially accounting for your efforts and the monies. On page 5, this is standing up the fund that's been implicit in all of this. So a new section that has the Cemetery Vandalism Response Fund. It's established to provide, as we've discussed, grants to agencies to repair vandalized cemeteries. It would be administered by the fund.
Every cemetery shall contribute
Yes.
$5.
Yeah, so this is fairly limited, as you'll see.
We have some pretty big cemeteries.
For each burial cremation and perform, yes. So not for existing properties.
Okay,
This is kind
all
of
right, or cremation is
Exactly.
forms.
That would be quite different, yes.
What about cemeteries that are closed? They're full, they've been closed.
Then presumably they would be performing a burial cremation, in which case
Okay,
you submit.
but
But I would say the fund is available to all cemeteries. It's not on the basis of your having contributed to it. So the fact that you do have properties that could suffer vandalism, but you aren't submitting contributions, that wouldn't exclude you from this.
Right. And you're no longer an active cemetery, you're full.
If you're not engaged in the, let me scroll up to the first page, just so we can see the definition of agency. Town cemeteries, religious or ecclesiastical society cemetery, cemetery associations, any person, firm, corporation, unincorporated association engaged in the business of cemetery. So I'm assuming they need one of these town cemetery, religious or
Okay,
ecclesiastical.
yeah, I know there's a religious cemetery in Montpelier that's full and it's no longer
Yep.
can accept burials, but could be subject.
They would be, they could receive a grant under this program. Yep.
Okay.
You don't have to be submitting contributions to receive a grant. So I'll scroll back down to the fund. It would be administered by VOCA and monies would be used solely to provide these cemetery vandalism response grants.
But I assume that VOCA is a voluntary, doesn't have paid staff organization.
I would speak to the folks on GovOps to talk about that. I think the little wrinkle that I mentioned at the beginning has to do with how funds are routed. This has us funds administered by VOCA. And it has them determining the grants. It's not route, while the collection itself, which I'll come to, goes through the Division for Historic Preservation. They don't actually administer the fund. So there may be, this may need to be updated in a way where the money flows through the Division for Historic Preservation, rather than them just collecting it and the checks being made out to VOCA. I'll need to talk to Ted about that, but that's what I heard.
That was Ted's concern, that we don't normally appropriate money directly.
Yeah.
Out to an agency, that it goes through a state agency so that we have oversight.
Yep, so that is the complication on which I might need to draft an amendment for this.
How quickly can you, well, I guess if we send it out, it's gotta go to a pro.
Yes, and they could do the same, frankly.
And you could
for
do
the
that
sentences.
there, all right.
I think that's smart also because in talking to Ted, depending on what that requires, it may disrupt some. It was an intentional choice by government operations to have VOCA be the ones doing this. And I don't think that the idea was the Division for Historic Preservation would be taking on much other than collection. So if this starts shifting actual responsibilities, I think there could be questions.
About it.
Exactly.
There's
So I need to
no
talk to,
appropriation that I've seen yet.
I need to talk to Ted if there's a way to do this that doesn't disrupt the practicalities, but somehow runs them.
So this is here because there's a $5 fee?
I will not presume to guess what brings those statistics.
Okay.
So, the contribution shall, the collection is every agency shall contribute $5 to the fund for each burial or cremation performs. It shall not be double collected, is what the second sentence is saying, shall not be collected upon the burial of the remains of a deceased person where a contribution was collected upon cremation, so you don't get double hit. And then the statute isn't specific as to where that $5 comes from. But as you can imagine, it might be natural for the cemetery to pass this along to the family of the deceased. And so what the final line says is an exemption from that potential pass through. An agency shall not charge a fee to cover the cost of the contribution to any person that's receiving financial assistance for the burial or cremation, which there are federal, state, local programs that provide financial assistance. So this is saying you're not going to be hit by a $5 fee if you're already receiving financial assistance for the burial or cremation. The way that the collection itself works is not upon each burial or cremation, it's done annually. On or before January 15th of each year, every agency that has performed a burial or cremation during the preceding calendar year shall submit to the Division for Historic Preservation a check made out to VOCA, which this may have to change, for the total amount collected during the preceding year. So they're aggregating all of those from the preceding year, sending them to the Division for Historic Preservation. Payment shall be accompanied by a statement signed by a cemetery commissioner or other proper officer certifying the number of burials or cremations, the amount transmitted, and then they would be dispersed to VOCA on January 31st.
This is getting weirder and weirder. We are telling cemeteries, which are owned and operated by a wide range of organizations, that they have to pay a fee to a private non-state fund in order for them to get a payment, maybe if there's enough money in there to cover the cost of vandalism. But I can't ever remember telling the Elks Club that they had to pay a $5 fee, which would go to another private non-state organ, or the fee is going to go to historic preservation, who then just takes
Disperses it to the-
transfers it. Can we tell private cemeteries that they have to pay?
We charge fees of private individuals.
But we aren't, what? I mean, what if they have vandalism insurance? I mean, are we? We're telling essentially private organizations. Montpelier has a cemetery commission, but there's, you know, at least one large religious cemetery. There's lots of like family cemeteries, but we're telling them that you need to pay us so that. But we have no guarantee. What if there's not enough money? If somebody goes through and spray paints a major cemetery in Chittenden County, and there isn't enough money in the fund to cover that cost, and then somebody else gets spray painted, or, and does this cover theft of things like Civil War markers? I know there was a big market in Civil War markers. We had to make it doubly criminal to lift them. Now it makes sense. I might just.
Sure.
I figure it out.
The thing that I might offer is that even if we solve the routing problem, which Ted had identified, I don't think that resolves the point that you're making. Right, like the point that you're making is about collecting fees from cemeteries that could then be distributed to other cemeteries, which doesn't have to do with the routing of the money. That's a kind of broader point. So I just wanted to call out that even if I do talk to Ted and work out the mechanics of this thing, it sounds like you have a bigger objection.
Well, I just can't remember us telling a private organization, we might tell them they need to have insurance, because if they don't, there will be harm to people. That
Sure.
if you don't have liability insurance and somebody gets hurt. If it's open to the public. But this just feels a little different. I mean, they can't assess a $5 fee on their members. If their members agree that it would be worth it to purchase vandalism.
Right.
So maybe we need to hear from the chair. Where is the chair of GovOps? Yeah. In GovOps. Oh, we say GovOps.
Grove up to Great Rock County, yeah.
It might be done.
See the.
Can you send an email over and see if he would like to come talk to us about his bill?
You want me just?
You want me to go see?
Sure, you want to walk over?
I'm happy to, whoever wants to walk, but I can.
Okay, he doesn't want to sit here anymore than he has to already.
Yeah, the new smoking.
The other thing I would say, I'm happy to stay here as long as you guys need me. I know that Ways and Means also wants me for vote on field bill. But we can do whatever.
I think
Depends.
the concern that Ted raised with me, and if this is in fact going to approach, you'd have time to fit, is that we don't normally
Sure.
allocate money to a private agency, that it's under the supervision
Right.
of, but
Yeah.
we don't know if they're in a position to take on the supervision.
Right, and I think the point that I was trying to make is that even if you stripped VOCA out of this entire thing and said that this is a discretionary grant making process by the Division for Historic Preservation, which hasn't at all indicated, but just pretending
Yeah.
that they would be capable of doing that.
They just want this one.
I think your objection is still
Yeah, that's another.
of the form that you're collecting a fee from the cemeteries, from the sums dispersing funds.
Mission accomplished.
Very good.
This will be the one thing I pass 1,000 on today. Would you like me to finish before?
Yes, let's finish. Have you got time?
I got all day for you,
Oh, this is our last bill. We thought it was a simple little one.
Oh, gosh, don't tell me
I
that.
know.
So two quick things. As we talked about the annual collection that happens in January, so we have a section 4 that addresses the initial fee collections. That's Division for Historic Preservation collecting those initial fees beginning on January 1, 2027. And that would be on the basis of the burials or cremations that occurred between the date of effectiveness and December 31st of this year. And so the effective date is July 1, 2026. You would be picking up the fees from the date of effectiveness to the end of the year, but they wouldn't be collected until January of next year.
Okay.
And that is it.
Okay. So, Senator, who are joining us? The first question, which may be the easiest.
Yep.
Watch that chair. Is we don't normally directly allocate money to a private agency. It normally, if it's state money, goes through state agency to manage it, make sure there's no slippage or other things that happen. The other one, and it occurred to me, is the state is assessing a fee on a private voluntary organization. I don't think you have to join the Vermont Cemetery Association. We're assessing a fee on a private organization in order to help those private organizations pay for vandalism. That's also rather unusual. We usually assess a fee for state service, not they could assess a fee on themselves, arguably. And so I think it might be helpful to know what you heard, why you doing all of this.
Sure. So for the record, Senator Collmore, representing the Rutland District. This goes back a little bit. Tom Giffen, who's the president of VOCA, which is the group you're talking about, the Vermont Old Cemetery Association, came to me about 10 years ago and asked me to help him when the weather was the way it needed to be, to replace headstones, dig stuff around the cemetery, whatever. So 2 or 3 times a summer, he gets legislators in Rutland County. I think he's been up to Chittenden County doing the same thing. And it's all volunteer. And we help him out. We do like an 8 to noon kind of thing. So at some point he said, geez, I wish we could find a way to buy more shovels for people to have, more rakes, that kind of stuff. Maybe hire somebody with a big tractor to pick up, because these stones are very heavy, that sort of thing. So it was at Senator Weeks' initiation that the bill went in, although I did sponsor it along with Senator Williams. So that's the idea behind it. It is a outside agency that's coming in. Most town cemeteries, I don't think, get funding from their own municipality. Some of them may do.
Some of them do, some of them are private. Montpelier is a cemetery commission and there's elected commissioners, but there's also a large religious cemetery that's closed. It has no more space, but it's pretty isolated and could be vandalized very easily.
Yeah.
Also it's fossils, but which could lead to some vandalism, but yeah, it's just an unusual, and I remember once before, a couple of years ago, there was a private cemetery that we had to do some changing for. But I mean, because if you're cemetery, you don't have to belong to Boca, do you?
No, it's a voluntary group. The other fly in the ointment, if you will, town clerks, municipal clerks are the ones, I think it's under Title 18, that have the ability to issue certifications for burial. And they charge a $5 fee, or they're granted a $5 fee in order to do that. So initially in the bill, we were gonna take that little piece and repeal it and instead put this $5 fee in so that it will be revenue.
You never take
You,
money from the town clerk.
you read that situation very well, Senator.
You should learn that
So
very
as soon as
well.
we had the Municipal Clerks and Treasurers Association came in, they said, please don't take that money. Even though for the most part, it's a $5 fee, I think there are about 3,500, maybe 4,000, maybe 5,000 burials a year. So you're not talking about millions, you're talking about literally $35,000, $40,000. But for them, that was an important thing. So we said, okay, we won't repeal that. Well, this would be an additional charge that the funeral director would collect and send to the Historic Preservation Division. They would send it up to Boca at some point in a yearly kind of dispersal. And they would be, Boca would be the ones deciding which cemeteries got it. And based on a whole bunch of enumerated pieces of information that they gather. So this may not be the best way to do it, and I'm certainly wide open to suggestions. I'm just trying to help Tom Giffen find some revenue to help cemeteries from all over the state be able to repair acts of vandalism. Doesn't include mowing a lawn or if a tree falls over. This is deliberate malicious vandalism.
Halloween with the spring.
Yeah.
Or they're in this day and age.
Yeah.
You may get more prejudicial motivation.
And there's a provision in there about that, for the
Yeah.
Jewish cemetery.
Yeah.
People were, yeah, so I appreciate that we don't normally do it this way. And if that hangs it up, so be it. We can say that we tried, maybe come back and try a different way to do it. But VOCA is a totally voluntary group. So,
And not all cemeteries belong.
no, they do not.
And the ones that aren't doing burials. And right now, people aren't going through funeral directors. I understand that the crematory place will send you a cardboard box and you can put your beloved in the box and
Yeah,
take him down.
that's true. And this bill does include cremations, because some of them do have little
Yeah,
headstones.
they have, yeah. Yeah,
And the green burials are something else
yeah.
entirely. So I appreciate your at least considering it.
Okay.
I know Tom's hopeful, but, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Maybe no.
No, but no, I know there's a problem.
Yep.
Can I ask a quick question? Yeah,
Yeah.
this may have already been said, so I apologize, but are they right now relying on private donations?
And some municipalities do award
Yeah.
on a line by item in the budget, a certain amount of money. Rutland City does not. So he fundraises on his own, buys the shovels and the rakes that we use and then begs people. He's got the Moose Club
Right,
on one of the projects, that kind of thing. It's kind of fun to do.
yeah,
It's one of those rare physical things that when you start something and then you finish, you can actually see a difference.
Yeah.
But,
Okay,
so, do what you will, I'll certainly understand if it doesn't move forward this year. And we can,
okay.
maybe find another way to
Again
do it.
next year? Okay.
I know Senator Matos would probably just write a check for it, the whole thing.
there we go.
I'd take it that way.
I'd
Well,
happily
with our
volunteer.
aging population, the $5 fee on burials is probably going to be increasing revenue.
But I do have a section by section in case you.
Okay, we get that?
I'm always trying to, Mr. Gray help with that. I'm always trying to look ahead.
Okay,
As always, thank you.
okay, thank you.
And you might be done for the day. Did you say this was it?
We might, this is our last bill that we know of. We might be done for the week, but we were here until almost dark last night.
Yeah, I kept checking the calendar to see if he was left yet.
We're getting there.
Thank you.
This one I was gonna do tomorrow. Before I was told I had to go to approach. But there is no approach. What does, it appropriates the funds once we collect the funds. So committee, what do you want to do with this one?
I know what you're saying, it's a little bit unprecedented and it's strange.
So that our hold up, not the fee amount itself, but taking that fee and then
Yeah,
bringing it outside.
I'm not comfortable with that.
It's pretty loose on the financial, you know, I don't want to pay it. I'm having a hard time, but you know, I'm not covering my cost of burials as it is. I'm not paying you $5. Our families
Well, I
that
said
don't,
you have a problem, if anybody.
yeah,
Right, but you typically charge a fee, it's going to a state program rather than.
Yeah.
Valid concern, valid point.
You would create a state program and fund it and staff it.
Yeah.
Where we usually do things, isn't it?
Do y'all mind if I run the ways and means?
absolutely not.
Let me know if you need an amendment or I think I'm getting this conversation, but
Okay,
Thanks, John.
I'll see you guys.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a worthy thing to do. It's just the mechanics of it, I think, is the only issue that we have.
How much is it gonna raise? 25 years? 25,000.
pardon?
How much money will it raise? 25,000?
What'd you say? It was 3,500 to figure 5,000 top burial at $5 each, 25,000.
If we work on it a little bit more, is there something else we could attach it to?
Oh, there's always something.
Yeah.
It's a fee.
Miscellaneous tax, we need to work
Yeah.
on a little bit more.
I mean, it's something. There's no actual Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
But we do, what happens when, in this day and age, the likelihood that somebody's gonna come in and put graffiti or spray paint
Mhm.
all over a cemetery is increasing.
Yeah.
I mean, how long before no ice starts to get spray painted on cemeteries?
Well, for the cemetery commission in every town anymore, that we voted for, we charge them with enforcement. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, that doesn't exist anymore either.
yeah, we have a cemetery commission that
we have a voluntary group that picks up trash.
we have a voluntary group that picks us.
So what's to keep that group from saying we'd like you to collect fees and then disperse them to us?
Yeah, yeah, we have the, what do they call, the trash something in Montpelier? They go around and pick up cigarette butts and other things on the sidewalk. Yeah, and I mean, there. I don't think this one is a house, so we still have that, oh, we still have that one.
How do other people, how do other
Yeah,
people
yeah,
feel?
it-
How do you feel?
I think it's just awkward how it goes
Yeah.
from. And it's, it's
There's no control.
one more sign to stay Vermont Tech.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's a good thing to try and help one good guy out,
It is.
Yeah.
you know, but
Well,
$25,000 is not covering the replacement of a headstone, never mind cleaning 100 headstones.
I think they do important work and I definitely want to find ways to fund them. I
Yeah.
like the idea of collecting revenues and routing to a third party through statute. That does feel.
The third party who is all volunteer, who knows if whoever's in there knows how to run books or,
maybe you could be a grant program that
yeah.
Right.
somebody administers at the state and that money goes.
Mm-hmm.
Or.
Boca can come out and say, hey, well,
Yeah,
I don't know about the whole state, but we certainly have some neglected cemeteries in a town, a region. Having the money to draw from is something that I certainly support.
I sold the house with the horses cemetery in the front yard.
Interesting.
He had a very nice headstone.
Burying a horse, that must have been.
Well, what else do you have to bury?
Glue
Yeah,
factory.
tell you the story about my great grandfather's horse that got stuck in the quicksand. What's it nice? Yeah, it's a need, and as burials change and more people are going the cardboard box cremation route, there were a lot of perpetual care funds, and it was much more important a generation or more ago that my grandmother wouldn't miss a Memorial Day or Fourth. Actually, I think she went every other week to the cemetery to read and clean. Out of New England, you go to Pennsylvania, you can't have a headstone. You get a little thing in the ground so you can ride on mower and mow the whole thing. No headstones.
Not great for granite.
Is it? No, it isn't. That's why, but there's all kinds of plastic flowers stuck everywhere. It's this ugly field of plastic lilies.
We have pretty stringent.
I mean, I think we are going to have to at some point deal with the preservation of our cemeteries. They are historic. They do contain a lot of history. But this isn't enough, and it isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think. Oh, so. Yeah. All right.
Did you see it as salvageable with changes or just bring it back next year and take another question?
I don't know. I don't.
Matos loves fees. What do you want to tack a fee on to fund this?
Tax
Central.
Well,
We got.
even tax after you're gone.
I mean, and if we had time to have historic preservation come over and think through this, and we could ask them. We could ask him to come over tomorrow. And help us think through it with what? We'll find some place to hang.
So looks like we're looking to zoom in. I think she's looking forward to a light afternoon.
It's supposed to snow tomorrow too, Madam Chair.
Yes,
There
like a
was- I just saw
wintry
flakes
mist.
out there now. Oh, that's worse than snow.
That's all.
Yeah, right now, I think
It was a highly efficient afternoon.
It was.
we are a highly efficient committee.